Hey folks, this is PeckTech, and today we're going to talk about shrimp. Now, to me, shrimp are the fish that maybe should have been pushed in pet stores instead of so many other fish that are just widely and grotesquely inappropriate for the average consumer. So in this video, we're going to cover a couple of different things, and there are some time codes down below if you get impatient with me or you feel like I'm rambling at some point. I've realized that over the past few years, I do tend to do stream of consciousness on a lot of these videos, and it's not for everyone. There's links down below if you can't handle it. But in this video, what we're going to cover, one, I'm going to tell you about buying some shrimp. So I've recently gotten some shrimp, and I'm super excited about them, and I want to share it with you. And two, I want to tell you why keeping shrimp should be on your mind. Like if you're a fish keeper already and you haven't tried keeping these small shrimp, please consider it. I mean, they're a really interesting and rewarding little creature to keep. In fact, I would argue that rather than bettas and maybe goldfish and things like that, the shrimp are the thing that really should have hit the store shelves. I guess they're so small, and a lot of people kind of regard them as bugs. Like the biggest joke I get when I show someone my shrimp or shrimp in one of my tanks is that how do you eat that? How big do they get before you eat them? I think for most people, like most normies or people that aren't in the fish hobby, they see shrimp as food. So it's really difficult to explain to people sometimes that you keep them as pets and that they'll never be big enough to eat. And I don't think they would taste very good. Not that I've tried. So here's a couple of more reasons to get shrimp over maybe another kind of fish. One, people love the small tanks. Well, you can keep shrimp pretty well in a small tank. They don't get as big though. I've noticed that taking shrimp even from a 15-gallon up to a 25-gallon has made a huge difference in the overall size of the females, especially the really important ones and the really colorful ones. Number two, there's a wide variety of water parameters that they can live in. I'm speaking mainly about Neocaridina, or what the most common would be maybe the cherry red shrimp. That particular species is very tolerant to a wide variety of different types of water, wide variety of different types of temperatures. I'm here in East Tennessee. They will overwinter in my pond. I have a pretty small and shallow pond, and they overwinter in there even if it freezes completely over. If you're not looking to breed them or anything, you can keep them in a smaller tank and be pretty humane. In fact, you can keep a number of them in a small tank, and they do just fine. Most shrimp aren't very particular when it comes to food. In fact, they're going to eat a lot of algae and stuff out of your tank and actually eat things that'll benefit you. Depending on the type of shrimp, some shrimp eat more or less algae, and they'll never eat exactly the kind of algae you wish they would. So sometimes it's frustrating if you add them to a tank specifically to eat algae and they just don't. Shrimp can be added as a supplement or as the entire tank, just a tank full of shrimp. There's a lot of different options there. I always add a mono shrimp if I can to a tank because they are their most effective algae eaters, and overall a very long-lived and interesting shrimp, but they don't breed in captivity. Now for the cherry red shrimp, or the Neocaridina shrimp to be more specific, in fact I have red, orange, and now blue in my tanks here. So they come in a wide variety of colors. You shouldn't really mix the colors. If you want them to stay consistent, they'll kind of go back to their natural brown tones if you don't do that. But those shrimp can be added to a lot of different community tanks as well. You just have to be careful because their babies are very small and will be eaten. Sometimes the parents have a little bit easier time than the babies do, but you won't get them to reproduce as well. I find that you can mitigate that somewhat by having like a large pile of rocks or a big thing of Java moss or something that the little babies can kind of hide in, that the fish won't necessarily be able to or want to swim through. So if you're looking to breed these colorful ones, it might be advantageous to either keep them with a very specific type of fish that you feel like would not eat the babies. Like I like to keep them with pygmy Coreodorus, different types of those. They don't seem to predate on the little babies at all. Or keep them in a tank just for them, or with multiple types of shrimp species, which is kind of the new thing I'm doing this week. There are several people on YouTube that have really great detailed information. Rachel O'Leary, of course, Invertebrates by Miss Jinx. She is really great with shrimp and has a lot of content on her channel. There's also Mark's Shrimp Tanks. Um, I've followed him for years. He sounds a lot like Shrek, but he gives great advice on keeping shrimp. And of course, there's Rob from Flips Aquatics. There's some of the mono shrimp and a few tiger shrimp that I bought from him in here as well. In fact, one of the new friends I've made is Grant from the Garden of Ender. And he's got a YouTube page with lots of good stuff. I haven't watched all their videos yet. I'm about to go through and really check it out because there's a lot of good stuff on here and probably a lot more specific advice about keeping different types of shrimp. We'll be talking a little bit more about Grant and the Garden of Ender in just a moment. Not all shrimp are that easy to keep. Some of them do require a lot more specific things. In fact, some of the more beautiful ones and really interesting ones that are that people chase after, a lot of those do have very specific requirements that maybe you're above and beyond what I'm willing to do. So, but I simply avoid them. And there's plenty of other fish or shrimp that you can keep that do fall within probably the water parameters that you're used to keeping things. So in my household, I keep a mono shrimp. I keep tiger shrimp, which is kind of a new thing we'll talk about in just a minute. And the Neocaridinas, like the different colors and varieties of the Neocaridina shrimp. And what's cool in this tank, this is my no-filter aquarium. This tank's got no filter. It does have a heater in it. I've left the heater going, but it doesn't have any sort of filter or anything like that. And I've taken all, if you remember from the update, I'd put some fish in here. I've pulled all of them out and only left the shrimp. Now, I might eventually add another fish in here or something to kind of go around and maybe predate on planaria and things like that that pop up when there are no fish in the tank. But I wanted initially, at least for a small amount of time, I'd like this to be a shrimp-only tank for a while and just kind of really get these colonies built up and hopefully they'll breed in here. So before I get into what's in here, let's talk about a little bit of shopping that I've done. So this past weekend, I went to Chattanooga for a fish swap. If you remember, I went last year. Well, I've gone a couple of times to these fish swaps, and they're always a lot of fun. This time was no exception. I met a lot of interesting people and a few people from Aquaticon too, so that was kind of neat to see them again. And they had a pretty decent crowd. They do it in a community center there, and it was nice and air conditioned and felt good. There I got a couple of different kinds of shrimp. I've got 2 different kinds of tiger shrimp. I got about 10 tiger shrimp that go with the tiger shrimp that I already added in here. The sort of the red tiger shrimp. I can't remember what they're called. Oh, I've lost track. But I got some more of the red ones to go in here and kind of bolster the numbers. I think I've only gotten 5 of the ones that I ordered from Rob. And I would see them occasionally, but I wanted to kind of boost their numbers up a little bit and see if I can get them to start a colony in here. The other ones I got are even more strange, and they had just some initials and stuff, but they're tiger shrimp. They're blue tiger shrimp with these orange eyes and stuff. And I've only had 5 of them. They were very expensive. They were kind of prohibitively expensive. And I don't even know for sure what their name is. I've been definitely playing a Where's Waldo 2 in my tank downstairs looking for them, but they're downstairs with the orange shrimp down in the fluval flora. So a couple of weeks ago at Aquaticon, Grant Ender from Garden of Ender, I keep wanting to say Endler. So a few weeks ago at Aquaticon, Grant Ender came up to me and said that he'd be very happy to send me some shrimp. Apparently he has just lots and lots of tanks of shrimp. In fact, I think he sold almost all the shrimp he brought up to Aquaticon because there wasn't a lot of other freshwater stuff happening there. And he has some amazing shrimp. And I said, I really want some Blue Dreams. A couple of weeks ago, my local fish club fish swap, I picked up some Blue Dream shrimp and I put them in here. And I was like, well, I'd like a few more. That would be great. And I could really build up a colony. So he did not disappoint. He sent me quite the package. It was well wrapped, wrapped in layers and layers and layers and layers of newspaper. I found at least one coupon in there that I decided that I had to keep. But eventually I got all the way into the shrimp bag and found about 20 really amazing shrimp. I really love the blue colored shrimp. I think it might be my favorite color of the Neocaridina shrimp. Although some of the photographs of green ones I find pretty intriguing too. But blue is a very rare color in nature. You don't see it all that often, and whenever I do encounter it, I'm pretty I'm pretty excited. It's one of my favorite colors. Garden of Ender's links are below, and they have offered my viewers a special discount code. That's PECTECH10 to get 10% off your order of shrimp. So if you've decided, I'd like to try shrimp, and they don't sell them in your local stores, and you'd like to mail order, maybe you'd like to try a new variety of shrimp, you can take your PECTECH10 10% off coupon down to Garden of Ender and give them a shot. They've got a wide variety of things, and I'm sure you'll find something that you'll be excited about. Okay, so now we're talking about buying shrimp a little bit, and I want to offer like one parting tip too. It is more useful for you to probably buy 20 or 30 shrimp than it is to just buy 5 or so. It can be prohibitively expensive depending on the type of shrimp you're looking for, or what you've got right in front of you. But if you get like 30 or so, I say that because my shrimp keeping started, I think I had Amano shrimp before anything else, but they don't breed in the aquarium. The next thing I got was cherry red shrimp, and I went off Aquabid, and I bought about 30 of them. This has been years and years ago, and those shrimp are still going. Now, as a colony, they're not the best looking shrimp, like they're not like super reds or really, really nice looking cherry red shrimp anymore, but it's been over a decade of keeping that, one initial purchase of 30 shrimp has reproduced and reproduced, and at one point they were in every tank and my pond. Just about. Even the 210, I've got them in the sump, and I find them all over the place. But if you get 5 and the 2 males that are in there die, and then your females just kind of age out and then don't reproduce, then that's all you've got. If you buy 10, you probably have a little bit more luck, 20 even more luck. I find that 20 to 30 seems to be a great number. I got the orange shrimp when I went to breed them. I was buying them in 1s and 2s and stuff. I bought them onesie twosie over the course of a few weeks, and then I eventually just went and got a larger quantity of them. I think I ordered about 10 of them. And after that, after I got to about 25, I started seeing babies and stuff, and then now I have a lot of orange shrimp, and it's kind of this, just like the cherry red shrimp, they just reproduce on their own. They don't require a lot of special parameters or anything, but it does help, I think, to have more of them. It just more opportunities for things to happen. It speeds things up a little bit too. So yes, absolutely, you could in theory take one male, one female, and put it in a tank, and then eventually raise up a whole colony. But it would take a long time, probably a lot longer than you're willing to wait. Okay, so I've jabbered on for quite a little bit, but I hope you enjoyed this video. I really, really like shrimp, and I think you will too. Even if you want to just get a whole bunch of colors and you don't care that eventually they're going to mess up. They call it a Skittles tank when you just put all the different colors in. If you have a tank like that, I think it can be a lot of enjoyment. I also think it could be good for kids. So shrimp as a pet might be pretty decent for kids or passive aquarists too, because they don't require, you want to keep your tank decent, but they don't generate a lot of waste or anything. Not like a goldfish or even a betta or something like that, or even a group of tetras. In fact, it's almost kind of a zero sum, because they eat algae and stuff like that. They really complement a planted tank or a fish bowl, and I think that they're just much easier to keep than fish. They have a wider tolerance for things that they like to eat. They have a wider tolerance for places that they can stay, and they're really interesting. It's sort of like this fairy garden feel when they sort of glide around when they swim, and it's really I think it could be a really rewarding tank. And folks, that's all about. I think I'm going to wrap it up right there. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do. I'd love to see you again. If you're already subscribed, double check, because a lot of people are telling me they're getting unsubscribed. It's crazy. If you'd like more videos, there are lots more videos for you to see, and I'd love to see you again. Follow your bliss. Try keeping shrimp sometime, and I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.